All right, Brian, where are we?
We're in Echo Park, right on the border of Elysian Heights, at a great project. We're on the AIA Homes Tour, the American Institute of Architects ARC Tour Fest starts today, and this is the first house on the project. It goes all weekend, and we're here at this house, studio, and ADU designed by Bunch Design. Bo and Hisako are the two architects at Bunch Design, and we really love what they've done here.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in architecture, you really should join these tours because you get to tour them with the actual architects and hear about the inner workings, inner details, behind the scenes type stuff. And what you guys are going to see here is it's really fun because as we started here, they mentioned that the ADU is actually on the outside and the main house is on the back end. And it's usually the other way around. The main house is at the front and then the ADU is in the back, but not here.
And interestingly, they've set it up so the ADU has this outdoor deck and big sliding doors with amazing views of downtown, where the main house has fantastic views all the way to the ocean. See the Hollywood sign and Century City in the distance, but the views go all the way to the ocean. And then this door right here, this triple door actually goes into a studio space that was permitted as a rec room that allowed them to do a powder room and a working sink and so forth that separates the ADU from the main residence. So it's a really clever project of interlocking volumes and several different functions. And we're going into the studio space that separates the ADU from the main house. And, you know, this wall just opens right up to the courtyard. And we've got a really lovely space here with polished concrete floors. The roof line tips up to these clear story windows with views of the sky. And this feels much bigger than 600 square feet.
I was literally going to say the same exact thing. Anytime there's a height difference and it goes up, you know, what would you call this? 14 feet possibly?
Yeah, this is 8 feet right here at the tip of my finger. And that feels like a good 6 feet or more.
It might even be taller, probably 16 feet. But that's what height does. If you've got that luxury, it does make the space feel a lot bigger.
And so the overall design is really interesting because on one hand, all the detailing is crisp, modern architecture, but some of the micro detailing has a very Japanese influence. And Hisako is Japanese, and so we see that heritage and influence on this architecture. The joinery, we're looking out at the structural columns that sit on a steel plate, but then have the bolts recessed with wood plugs so they kind of disappear.
As you can see, it's lifted off the floor, which is a really nice reveal.
Yep.
And then it's steel.
It's about a half an inch under that plate.
And we can only assume that there's some lug bolts in there and then they've covered it up. So, you know, following the grain of the wood. I mean, just a really nice detail.
And this will last forever as a result because the wood is not sitting down in the landscape, which leads to dry rot. It's lifted up a half an inch on a custom steel, base. And then, as you mentioned, the bolts are in here and then disguised by these wood plugs.
Yeah, and there's oftentimes what people do to solve that problem is use some pressure treated wood or something like that. But with this detail here, it's not needed. This doesn't even look pressure treated. I think this is just straight post.
Yeah, I think this is fir, and this is Douglas fir, and so you've got this beautiful relationship. If this were pressure treated, it would look hideous. It would look like a telephone pole or something, But it's all the same wood, and then you've got the beautiful green pigmented steel trowel plaster, simple palette of materials.
And look at this perspective. I mean, between the stone and the wood, and you're walking through, it kind of feels like it's a really nice entry, a red carpet entry feel.
Yeah, I would call this an enfilade view, where your view is focused from the street all the way through the house to, the Hollywood Hills.
You're right. It really does have that perspective from all the way from the beginning to that view down towards the end.
Now we're in the main house, and what I find to be really exciting about this space is that it's all these interlocking volumes. I want to cut these sectional drawings through the house because you've got a pitch here, a two-story sort of thermal chimney there, a little nook off of this bedroom here, and so all the volumes are kind of interlocking around one another, and it's a really exciting, so sometimes we walk into these drywall boxes where it's like an 8-foot plate and an 8-foot plate, and that's it. Where this is, these complex shapes that are interwoven.
Yeah, in addition to that, what it's also doing is our favorite words, compression and release.
Right.
Where a lot of the public spaces are actually compressed, and here the hallways are celebrated, but it's a really smart way to do it because they go up these 2-story spaces and they hit these clerestory windows. So this light that you're seeing is actually coming from the 2nd story, but it's being brought down into the space down below. So really cleverly done.
And the architects are really playful with materials. Sometimes we see architecture that is just pure white, everything's white, where here they have picked materials with a limited palette of materials. Like they're using the same tile in the bathrooms, but they'll pick a different color. So there's a yellow and there's a green, there's a red, but it's the same tile. So it doesn't feel busy. Sometimes we see, homes where every bathroom's a different material. But here, I love this green in the kitchen with that beautiful, I'm going to call it marble, it's probably granite, countertops and backsplash, which are the same as in the ADU. So there's this continuity of the experience, limited palette of materials, the Douglas fir, the wood floors, the built-ins.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back to the material that you were just describing. In here, both the floor and the ceiling, the wood runs in the same direction all the way through. Sometimes that alternates in homes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it goes perpendicular. But if you look at the flooring on the deck and in the ceiling and in the soffits and on the flooring, it all runs in this direction here. And I think that was very, very purposeful choice.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it runs perpendicular to the larger axis.
That's kind of where I was going, and you just completed my thought process. So thank you for that.
No, thanks for pointing that out. That's a really interesting detail. So we're in the primary suite, and you were just pointing out the structural posts and this sort of wall headboard, multi-purpose thing that's dividing the space. You've got this huge walk-in closet in the back, but because this headboard wall stops, 2 feet shy of the ceiling, the light and your eye just goes up and over. So this room feels twice as big as if that had been a separate closet.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is on purpose, but this kind of lines up with the kitchen down below. But they have very similar organization layouts in that you could stay minimal on the outside, right, in the bedroom, in the kitchen, and then behind the scenes in the closet, you can get as messy as you want. And I don't know if you walked around, but that pantry has no doors. And so you see all these products and all the food and everything, but because it's behind this lower wall here, you look like you're entering into the cleanest room ever.
That's a really good point. And yet, because it's not all enclosed by walls and doors, it doesn't shrink it down. I see what you're talking about the kitchen, that your eye goes up and over, but all the busy stuff is back in there, but you don't see it.
Yeah, when I walked around, I was like, whoa, Right. But again, in terms of the organization, all of the rooms are oriented. Again, this is a U-shaped structure, and all of these rooms are kind of oriented around the light and the courtyard. So plenty of light comes into all these spaces. And again, it's transparency, right? Just like it is downstairs. They could have very easily made this an opaque wall. But instead, they put a window here, and again, you've got visual connection to that remarkable view of Echo Park. And so I love that homes that do that, where there's that transparency.
And all this custom woodwork, and joinery. These are custom windows. There's a structural post in here, but very clean, minimalist detailing throughout
Yeah. And you could see the sun piercing through what was supposed to be a very rainy day.
I know.
But look at the sun. While as we were talking, it's now hitting the bedroom floor, so it's really nice. The overhang is just enough to keep it out of your eyes, but enough to fill the space with some light.
We want to thank the American Institute of Architects for their generosity in hosting this tour. It also has been going for years. Pretty much every November, there's an ARC Tour Fest sponsored by the American Institute of Architects. And we want to thank the homeowner and Hisako and Bo of Bunch Design, who are the architects of this fabulous project. We really feel fortunate that this is what we get to do every day.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us to tour this. And if we got anything wrong, feel free, anybody really, feel free to chime in and let us know.
That's how we learn. All right.
All right.
Good job.